Hi everyone, my name is Pawel and I have a wee allotment and I grew flowers under the name PTT Dahlias and Blooms, and I thought of making a wee channel and document what I grew, how I grew, and hopefully we can grow a wee community here. I grew in Northern Ireland. I try to grow mainly summer but sometimes early spring blooms as well, and hopefully you follow along. We have straw flowers, which are looking pretty good, and then of the beds are mostly dahlias. Some of the more standard varieties, and there's some of the rare ones in some of the beds as well. But we've had a bit of a cool start, so and the slugs we're trying to eat some of them. So, but hopefully with this week being warm. Here are some of the leaf cuttings that I took a few weeks back. Um, they're coming on nicely. Some were bigger than others because some were taken a few weeks before. And then there's some of the mother plants down here, but there's a wide range of unicorns for this year, which will be exciting to see. Can't wait myself, so I'm sure a lot of you will be looking to see some of these beautiful blooms. But some of the varieties are really popping a lot of growth, and there's actually a wee bud coming on Sandia Bertha, which is a bit early. There's some of my favourites for this year. KAS Penny Lane, KAS Pearl, they're looking really good. Big healthy plants. KAS Cinder Rose, which I think is going to be everybody's favourite. And then some of the other KAS. Some of the dahlias I have is only one plant, some multiples. Some leaf cuttings weren't taken as well as others, but hopefully for this year I can multiply and have even more. Some of the dahlias I actually left in last year in the ground, and they're popping up really good. They're gonna get pinched. Some of them already got pinched or slugs got to them. But most of these beds here are dahlias. And then we've got a bed of delphinium from last year. They're looking really nice. They're coming on. Should be another week or so and most of these will be in bloom. And then towards the back is a bit of a mix. We've got a lot of annuals. There's more dahlias, more delphiniums. But there's some of the mixes I'm trying, where you plant a couple different things in one bed and just hope for the best and see how everything grows. So in this bed is snapdragons, Ami in the middle, and then Canterbury bells on the other side. They usually bloom pretty quick, so the Ami might take a bit longer, so I was hoping that it'll fill out a bit of the beds, so whenever the other ones are finished they can kick in and fill. But there's even some delphiniums in here which I didn't plant, but I've got helpers around here, so they could be planting them. Some of the more of the dahlias, they actually were the last ones to be put in the ground. They're from cuttings as well. Don't want to move the camera too fast, can get you dizzy. But the weeds are growing even faster than flowers. But if we go to the tunnel, this is where the growth is really picking up with all the heat. So there's dahlias at the front, which are new for this year, for cut flower trade. There's 3 different colours, and the cuttings actually came from Africa. Can't remember which country in Africa, but I think it was either Zimbabwe or some other country. Lisianthus, lots of Lisianthus this year. There's 3 different varieties of Lisianthus in here. So we've got the amethyst, which is the latest blooming one. That's why it's the smallest. And the weeds. You can see where some was weeded and some wasn't yet, because it's quite hard to reach. And my mum helps me weeding, but she can't reach, so that'll be my job for today. Then we have pink Lisianthus, and then at the end, which are the biggest ones, are the apricot. They look really good. Not as many weeds here. Hopefully stays like that. And then on the other side, first time growing it this year, is a spray aster, which exploded in growth past week. The gaps are filling up nicely. And then we're going into celosia. This is an apricot celosia. Never grew it successfully as well, but it's starting to put on better growth. So we'll see how it grows. And then we've got stock, which is quite early to bloom. It's I think it's stock X. There's two different colours in here. They should be quite nice. And then that's the dahlias. They actually were sending up some buds. There's some buds here. You can see, look how short they are. Shortest plant ever. And a random sunflower. And then out here, some random buckets. We have some of the perennial beds. There's some Aquilegia in here. And some sedum. Chocolate mint. And then this bed has alliums and sedum. And into more annuals. Larkspur. Germination this year was pretty horrific. And some annual phlox. More dahlias. These are the cuttings from Africa. And then the second small tunnel is zinnias. They're coming on quite nicely, even though they're getting munched by something. Tomatoes, because you can't have a allotment without tomatoes. A bit of parsley in between. There's some parsley looking good. And then a few cucumbers. They will take a while to really start growing because they like the heat, and we haven't really had much of that. But this is the new plot we took on this year, which was just 6-foot weeds. So we've done our best to put in a few beds, just rotavated it, bit of compost in a few places, but the weeds are really coming through. There's more of the ami. I was actually never successful growing it from seed. These came as plug plants. And then Canterbury bells. There is around 1,000, or if not more of them this year. Delphiniums. This year, I mean, they came as plugs this year, so this is a first year plant. They'll still flower maybe end of July, and then by next year they're going to be like the first ones. They're going to be massive. And then snapdragons, cosmos, which is quite short still. I'm hoping I can pinch it and root some of the tops, because the germination wasn't as great, and I'd love to have more. And then in this bed we have very sad looking amaranthus, but I'll sow maybe some more. I've sprinkled straw flowers in here, because it's one flower that you can never have enough, is straw flowers. Snapdragons, there's 3 different varieties this year, 2 doubles and one variety is single, Potomac pink. And then Canterbury bells again, tons of them. More Canterbury bells and some feverfew. It's looking pretty good. And then we planted some trees at the very end, which will hopefully give us some fruit. This apple tree was already here whenever we took the plot. I gave it a wee cut down because it was a rough shape. And if we swing over, try not to trip over anything. Maybe I'll show you some vegetables that are grown outside. Lilac, white lilac, blooming, but it goes quite brown pretty quick, which is not as nice looking after a couple of days, but it smells lovely. And then we've got our bamboos and other shrubs, and here we have our vegetable beds. There's 2 beds this year. Germination not as good on these as this bed. This bed is just thick. We've been picking radishes out of here past 2 weeks, but you can see some were pretty small, some were bigger, but it's a pretty quick crop, quick turnover. Lots and lots of beetroot, which Mum sowed all, and she actually done really good spacing, so we should be getting big beetroot and iceberg lettuce, which there's weeds in between. So then we've got French dwarf beans with giant Mongolian sunflowers in the middle, carrots. We've never grown carrots successfully. We usually get carrot fly whenever they get a bit bigger and just decimate the whole crop. Dill, which we usually struggle with, and we sow tons and tons every year, and this year seems to be a decent crop. Some lettuce and some peas, because why not cram it in if there's room? The more the better. I usually don't follow any spacing rules, which is sometimes works out, sometimes it doesn't. Then at the back fence here, this used to be all, this one plot used to be all chicken or chicken run. There was chickens in here, ducks, peacocks, and you name it, we had it. But now we left some of the back fencing And we grow sweet peas, and they're starting to pick up. They look pretty good. There's actually some wee tiny blooms. They're lovely. Hopefully next couple of weeks we'll be picking a lot of sweet pea and our strawberries. This year it's going to be a bumper crop. Look how many blooms is on this, and they're all like this. Maybe even wee baby strawberries on it. We're going to have to cover it with netting. We usually have to cover it because the pigeons come and eat all the strawberries. But they're looking lovely. And then half of this bed I actually haven't shown. There's status in amongst the weeds. There's the status there. A lot of status this year. And then towards the end there is our blueberries, which are just humongous this year, and there's plenty of fruit on them, so we should be getting a lot of fruit. And a wee rose at the end there, and our temporary polytunnel, which will hopefully be replaced in September by a permanent one. I thought I'll show you along what's growing, and maybe I'll continue making videos like this and see where it goes.